So we did read another comic. It was suggested by
Wait, we
me.
did?
Shut
What?
up. Overdoing a bit. Hi there, and welcome to Hav and Charles Talk Comics. I am your host, Charles Herring, and I am here with my co-host and very good friend, Javier Gonzalez. Hi, Hav. Hey, Hav. Hi, Hav. How are you?
Oh, hey, Charles. I'm good. I'm better now, Charles.
Excellent.
Better now. Hey, so we're doing this incredibly early for us on a Sunday morning,
Yes.
8 a.m.
Yes.
Which really isn't that early, but earliest that we've ever done it.
It's pretty. I think we've done it at least one other time this early, but yes, it is early for a Sunday morning.
Yeah. So no, I'm good, man. And we're turning these around pretty fast. We just recorded one. When did we record last? Was that last weekend?
Yes, it was last Thursday.
Two Thursdays ago.
Yeah, whatever that
Yeah.
was. Yeah, it wasn't Thursday, but it was the Thursday before because it was due out Friday, and I'm trying to get ahead because I'm going out of town, so I have to edit this week, so it's out. It's important.
Gotcha.
Yeah, because I'm going to go taste wine in Fredericksburg.
Nice.
Sure.
Nice.
Sure.
So as per the usual, it's, the podcast, the pod is called Hav and Charles Talk Comics, and guess what we're going to do? We're going to talk some comics.
Are we going to talk comics? I think that would be a good idea to talk comics.
So
well,
last time, go ahead.
First off, I'm gonna do a couple of note-keeping things. This podcast, as all of you listening will know, that it comes out on, if I can figure out what today's date is, I can figure out when it comes out, on the 27th of October. Then we'll have another one on the 10th of November, and then we'll have the final one of the month, of the season, on the 24th, the day after Thanksgiving. So this is not the penultimate podcast of the season 3, but the next one will be the penultimate. And then the season finale will be on the 24th. So we only have 2 more podcasts after this one for the season. Unless we get flooded with emails and begging us to do an extra one, and we might be able to squeeze one in. We'll do a bonus pod of some sort. But by flooded, I expect at least one email, not from Julie or not from Patrick.
I was going to say, I wanted to put the over-under on that. Yes, I like the qualification of not from Julie or Patrick. I wanted to say 5 emails.
Let's not go crazy.
Ambitious. I know.
Let's go. I'd be willing to bump my demand to 2.
Yeah.
If there's 5, it has to be 1 from Julie and 1 from Patrick.
Yeah, that's probably accurate. That is probably accurate.
I mean, because Caesar not being able to read, it seems like he can't write either. So
Just
plus, I don't
out.
think if he is still listening to the podcast, he's not this far along.
I was going to say, he does it in chunks.
Yes.
I've noticed. And because then he'll send us a text about, I was like, we did that like 3 months ago.
Well, he'll send us some random text, and we'll have to go, what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
What is that? Why did you do that? And he's like,
and not
the
just
podcast.
Not just in general, not about the podcast in general. It'll be like season 3, episode 2, and then he'll and not reference that and just say something very specific about one line that we said
that has nothing to do with one
podcast.
of the comics.
And we're like, what are you talking? What? Oh, okay. It's funny. It is good. And we thank you for listening. Hey, Caesar, whenever you listen, we thank you for listening. We do. Just so you know.
This is true. So today we're going to talk about 2 comics, as is our usual thing that we do. I suggested one that is The Wonder Twins by Mark Russell, and Hav suggested another one that is called 30 Days of Night. Oh, I got that right, didn't I? 30 Days of Night? I rock-ish. So we 30 Days of Night, which was written by someone else.
Yeah, it sure was. And I used to have that pulled up, but give me a second. So I suggested 30 Days of Night because Halloween, and it's a vampire comic. Oh, it's written by Steve Niles Art, very distinctive and I think cool art by Ben Templesmith. So yours came out in the far back time period before COVID of 2019. And mine came out that I suggested 30 Days a Night, August of 2002. So which one came out first? Let me do the math. Hold on. Crunch some numbers. Looks like mine did by a few years. So yeah. And I suggested 30 Days a Night because I did the rough math, calendar math that is, and thought, Halloween coming up. Let's do a Halloween kind of scary comic thing, or just, more spooky, freaky deaky. And so that's why I suggested this. So yeah, and as usual, Charles, let me ask you, what'd you think?
I liked it.
Okay.
I did. I enjoyed it more than I thought I would. It was short, which made it a plus. It was very sequential storytelling with sparse prose, which obviously with a vampire horror comic makes sense because it's all about setting the mood, I don't have the words for it this early in the morning or, ever. But I really did like it. I really went through it a lot quicker than I thought. It really was a quick read because it was just more pictures, and they were not really, they did this kind of hazy, shadowy art on it. So nothing was that clear, which I think was supposed to heighten its fear factor. But to me, it just made it, I think I'd have liked a little more detail on it. They paid particular attention to the teeth. I kind of liked the vampires and the fact that we don't figure out how you really kill the vampires that easily, or how humans kill the vampires because of the way they actually did it. And I liked the ending. I thought the ending was in some ways sweet.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, you know what? I'm pleasantly surprised. Not surprised. I thought you might like it, but it sounds like that's almost a ringing endorsement from you. No, I don't know why I said it like that. No, I was, because it was horror, and I know horror's not your bag.
Hav, I like things.
Yeah, I know.
I even liked the book World War Z.
Okay.
A zombie book. It was a really good book when I was forced to read it. And by the way, that was against everything I believe in. One, it had zombies, so that's generally a write out on me. Two, it was a series of basically short stories as they built the entire thing. Now, it was a cohesive narrative from the beginning of the zombie apocalypse to the end of it, but each in vignettes of this is what happened here, this is this. So it's stories of different groups of people. So it was like an anthology of short stories, which I loathe. So, but it made a great book. So you can like things outside of what you generally like. It just has to be well executed, and this was well executed.
I know the art was purposely, I gotta believe, very not realistic. I mean,
Yes.
It was very, I don't know. I mean, it was detailed. I feel like the artist Templesmith wanted to give you just enough detail so you generally knew what you were looking at, but not much more. And so if anybody's not read this, look, it came out in 2002. They made a freaking movie about it. So spoilers here, but
Which I will not be watching.
yeah, I tried to suggest that I didn't try. I suggested, hey, maybe watch the movie. And Charles was like, nah.
In fairness, I didn't have time.
Yeah,
on top
that's
of that.
that's well,
we
can
had a
talk about
short
that at
turnaround and trying to schedule an hour and a half to watch a movie that I'll actually have to watch instead of be doing something else while it's going on. I was like, yeah, that's too much homework. I already got to read two full comics.
No, I got you.
Not again.
Yes.
They are just comic books, but and honestly, there's not as much. It doesn't take as much time as watching the movie to read the two comic books.
Oh yeah.
So
well, let's go to that. In reread, I read this back when it came out or shortly after it came out. This was only really 3 issues, I think.
Yeah, it was very short. It was very short. I pounded through it I procrastinated the hell out of this. I read it. I had a day off on Friday, and I did literally everything else during my day. And I sat down and I said, okay, well, you want to do this later, but you have to read this comic. So sit down and read it. And the next thing I know, I was done with it. I was like, what the hell? I could have burned through that.
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
Quick read.
Well, and enjoyable too. So that makes a much quicker read. It's not a, okay, I could get just do 5 more pages and you get up and clean your house. Just do 5. No.
Yeah. I'm going to go. Yeah, just do some chore that you've been putting off just because you're procrastinating.
That's right. I was like, okay, if you're not going to read the comic, you have to clean the toilet. I'm sorry. Those are the rules.
I do that all the time.
When you're reading
I think I need to
when
clean.
you're reading your choice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I need to clean the house. Like the whole house, from top to bottom. No, so the premise is, Barrow, Alaska, sometime in the winter, I forget when, the sun sets. It doesn't rise again for 30 days because of where the town is situated
that far
down the
north.
globe.
It's that far north. And they have the same thing at the opposite time of the year where the sun never sets.
Right.
So.
And then at the beginning of this comic, kind of cold open, the sheriff and a deputy are out in the middle of, outside of town, in the middle of nowhere. All the cell phones in the town they find buried. Everybody's
Not burnt. Burnt. Yeah, they destroyed the cell phones. Yeah, and they said somebody's been stealing cell phones. Nobody has a cell phone left. We think it's a petty thief. We don't know what the hell's going on. So
yeah, and it's interesting. And then they're there for the last sunset, and there's a funny. I just remember. I haven't read this. I read this I think last weekend, right after we got done. I remember this part because they're sitting there going to watch the sunset together. It's a male sheriff and a male sheriff's deputy, and it's like the deputy says something like, I came on my first date to watch the sunset here with, to watch the sunset with Debbie, my wife. And the sheriff says, we all have. And there's a pause. Well, not with Debbie. Heh. Anyways, that was cute. And then you find out, then there's a cut, just to give a little bit of synopsis, then you cut to New Orleans. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah,
probably,
no. Actually, my negative on the whole thing was there was less about what was going on with that, which I think will probably be explained later since this goes on, because there's clearly something going on in New Orleans where you don't know. I thought at the very first that they were vampires, but it turns out that they seem to be vampire hunters or vampire investigators.
Trying to expose them.
Yes.
To the world, I think, at least, if anything.
Yeah, because the world is forgotten vampires. This world is forgotten vampires. And I like when the master points out. So what they find out, when we get there, we find out what's going to happen to Barrow, even if we didn't know from reading the synopsis before we went in. But they're talking about they've intercepted all of these messages from the vampires they're tracking, talking about how they're going to go to Barrow, Alaska, where it's dark for 30 days, and they're just going to massacre everybody there and feed for 30 days because they don't have to hide away during the day. And she sends the voodoo lady sends her son, and we find out later to take pictures. I thought at first I was like, oh, he's a vampire hunter, he's going to go nuts, and then she's like, no, don't be. Yeah, and these are very powerful vampires.
They are not your Bela Lugosi, smooth, well dressed. These are monster vampires that are vicious, and you get the impression they know they're on the top of the food chain, and we are cattle.
Yes.
So,
but only because we don't know they exist.
And it's interesting. They talk about how, like 2002, they've apparently started communicating electronically.
Yes.
The vampires.
Well,
and so that's why the New Orleans folks can intercept them and know that that's the impression I got.
Well, yeah. Well, that's the thing though. They would though, because they turn. It's very evidently very easy. This isn't that you have to intend to turn someone. This is pretty much if you feed off someone and don't chop their damn head off after you feed on them, they turn into a vampire.
Right.
So there is some weird, because they were discussing that because they were chopping everybody's heads off, so there weren't more vampires there as they went along. And yeah, it was
the emails the emails that they intercept. There's a back and forth between the one organizing the fest, the vampire fest in Barrow, and this one, was it Victor? I forget. V that he keeps on trying, or one like apparently Grand Poobah of all event that he really wants to come.
He wants the Grand, which was a mistake.
Because once he does go there, the big bad, I guess alpha vampire, and he is not happy.
Yeah, he gives him a lecture about hey, they don't know we exist anymore. It's taken thousands of years for them to make us a myth instead of a reality. And you've brought it back. This will bring it back. And so they were already going to exterminate the town, but he is planning to have the town burned. So kill everyone, burn their houses, make it look like a pipeline accident, because we cannot let the rest of the humans know what went on here. because they'll figure it out and they'll go nuts. And that's when the helicopter comes up with the kid from New Orleans, because he's filming and he's sending it back. And I love that it was sent right as because they jump. One of the damn things jumps up and grabs the helicopter and crashes the helicopter, but he manages to send it. So I tell you what, I'm not going to read anymore, but now I kind of wish I could read more so I could find out what goes on. Because I mean, clearly they, like anybody writing a good comic book, wants to be able to write more. So they did a really good job of putting things in to go further.
Yes, absolutely. Especially when you get to I guess we can look. It's me.
So there was hold on. Yeah. So I'll let you do it here in a second. The sheriff and his wife, deputy wife, managed to save some people. They're all kind of huddled living. We don't know exactly how long, but it's been a while. Call it weeks. Yeah. That they're still alive. They're still finding people. They're going out and having to find food, and they're basically trying to stay alive, and they realize they're not going to, and they get attacked by a vampire that they manage to kill. I don't know how did they kill him? They chop off. Well, he realizes that if you chop off the head, stakes don't work, but actually severing the head works. That was what it was, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
And then he takes his blood.
And he kind of reasons it out a little bit. And I did watch the movie, so I don't want to conflate anything, and I shouldn't. The movie's a little bit different.
Yeah.
And I'll talk about that in a second. But
okay.
Yeah, I mean, he's just like, look, we're not strong enough to beat these things. Mm-hmm. And the best shot I got is...
Well, it's because he watches the fight between the Grand Poobah and the upstart, and they go at it, and the only reason... And the Grand Poobah wins, but he rips his head off. He takes the head. And that's when he's like, oh, we're going to have to take their heads off.
Yep.
Yeah, the whole group trying to chop off the thing's head was...
took a second.
Yeah.
It took a little effort.
Yeah, took a bit.
What else?
Oh, no, that's right. They turned... What? It turned one of them, and then they chopped his head off because he couldn't control it. Yes.
Right. He didn't want to be... Yeah.
Yeah, he wasn't going to control it. He was going to feed on his friends and so they killed him. That was the sheriff you were saying. The sheriff decided that the only thing that could stop them was them, so he injected himself with the blood of a vampire.
And then he goes mano a mano.
Yeah. He butchers them. It was glorious. Does he do that in the movie?
So, okay, the weird differences in the movie, not weird differences in the movie. Yes, he goes mano a mano just with the alpha.
Just with the alpha? Because it's one of those, if you kill the alpha, everybody else dies?
And then everybody else just kind of like, oh, okay, we're not messing with him. And he leaves.
So they don't die. Okay.
No, he doesn't go after the rest of them. They just kind of scatter.
Okay, so there's so much vampire lore, and you have to. The biggest problem with when somebody writes a vampire thing is you have to figure out what parts of the vampire lore that has come up forever and ever are they going to use? Because sometimes when you cut off the head, the vampire, the sire, as it were, it destroys the power of all the rest because they all get their power flowing down from him. So I was trying to figure all of this out as we went, because it's like, okay, because there was no guidebook on how these vampires work, because we're trying to figure this out as we go. So I was curious on that. So, but they didn't do that in the movie either. They're like, no, we still need a whole bunch of. There might be a sequel. We need a whole bunch of vampires. So,
I think so.
Yeah.
In the movie, so here's let me just generally about the adaptation of the movie. The movie, I want to say, so the comic book comes out in 2002. They released the movie in 2007, which is, I think, a pretty quick turnaround. That's how well this was received, I think, and thought of. And the idea, I don't know, Charles, had you ever heard of somebody setting something where the sun doesn't rise for 30 days and putting vampires in the mix?
No.
I remember when I heard that, I was like, what a genius idea.
I thought it was.
And it's one of those dumb moments, like, how did, not that obviously nobody else thought of it. And
how many people think about the towns that never have sunlight?
Yeah.
I mean, that might be more where that comes from. It's like, oh, you get some horror interested guys who have maybe been to Barrow, Alaska, if Barrow, Alaska exists, or a town like that.
Yeah. So I just remember, I remember when I read it before the movie came out, thinking, what a genius idea. In one of those dumb moments where, yeah, like I said before, how did nobody think of this? But nobody did. And apparently it was very well done. But because it was only 3 issues and so tight, I was like, how are they going to make a movie out of this? I mean, because the movie is not incredibly long.
Well, yeah, but you can add more.
They did. So
You can add relationships, because I mean, there was no. This was really honestly just a pure shock fest horror comic. In some way, it had heart. It was incredibly well done for just 3 frickin' comics. It built a whole. They built a whole world in 3 comics that is worth exploring. But I'm not going to.
I know, but agree. I know, agree.
Honestly, I might. I don't know. I'm kind of curious, because the horror aspects don't interest me. The supernatural aspects interest me. It's that sometimes you have to put up with some horror crap to get the supernatural crap that you like. But I just don't like the excessive. And they did the right thing. They did let the people win at the end. So
true. I was going to say also the way the art is done, because it's so impressionistic. I mean, it's not realistic, super realistic, hyper realistic. Mm-hmm. So even the gore is kind of beautifully done and not over the top. The teeth are very creepy. I mean, it is. We just talked about Bill Sienkiewicz last pod when he did the art in the Hulk. I can't help but think Ben Templesmith is younger than Sienkiewicz. Different, but kind of similar in that it's very stylized art. I didn't look it up, but I would guess these were painted. I don't think this is your standard, ink and pencils. I could be wrong. So all that to say, so the movie, the sheriff and his wife are separated. And
oh, okay. I was like, no, they're not. Okay, so they separated.
Yeah, in the movie.
Oh, that way they can have a grand arc of learning to love, and then the denouncement.
Then he's got to but then him sacrificing himself at the end.
Yes, twice.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Then in the movie, his brother and his grandmother live in the town, and they add this whole element where she's on cancer treatment, and she's been growing she's got her own greenhouse so she can grow some weed for her cancer, but she's got UV lights. So he goes there to get some UV lights at one point to try to fend off the vampires. So there's that adds a good 15.
Does it work? No.
Until they cut the power to. She's got a generator. Yeah. Oh, because they cut the power to the town too. They cut off communication. They cut off power.
Communication, all the power. Yeah, it's
the scene at the beginning with the cell phones. Same, essentially. Him and the deputy, his male deputy finding it.
Okay.
Same. The wanderer wandering into the town.
Yeah, that never was explained, because
never really
he
was
didn't
explained.
seem to be a vampire. He was just there for the fun. Maybe he wanted to be a vampire. I don't.
In the movie, it's Ben Foster that plays him in the movie, who's a really good actor, and they kind of explain it. He wants to be turned, like he's their familiar, but more like a pet.
Okay, so he's their Renfield.
Yes.
Is that's the name I was looking for, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Did
because
you see the Nick Cage?
No.
Go ahead.
No, I didn't. But that's what they because that was the name. Was it in Bram Stoker's Dracula?
I think so.
Renfield. So that's now the name in a lot of these vampire for any servant. It's
human servant.
Human servant. They're like pet / slave / they're Renfields, because
You'll probably never watch it, but the Renfield vampire thing with Nick Cage
that popped up on something I was looking at. I
think he gets to just, oh my god, you want to talk
funny?
Just I thought it was.
Oh,
I can see people either loving it or just thinking, oh my god, Nick Cage is just going over the top.
Well, that's Nick Cage over the top. I told you, I can't believe you haven't watched that Community episode with Abed.
I know, I need to watch it.
You really need to see that episode, because the class of, is Nick Cage a good actor or a bad actor?
I'm actually making a written note. Nick Cage Community episode.
Because is it Daniel Pudi? Is that the
yes? I think that's
is when he loses it in that episode and just starts doing Nick Cage.
How is it?
Oh my god, it's hilarious.
Okay.
Well, he has a good Nick. He has a pretty good Nick Cage. I mean, full body comic. I mean, this was just a physical. I highly recommend that to everyone. I wish I had the title of that one, but you can figure it out. Look it up online because
Gotcha.
it was just a great episode mainly for that. I literally don't remember what the main storyline of that Community episode, but that B plot, if that was the B plot, I have no idea, but the Abed plot in that one was just brilliant.
That's awesome. Well, likewise, I think it just depends on if you like Nick Cage, just going on Nick Cage over the top, sinking his teeth into, obviously is a juicy role to play this vampire.
So he's the vampire. He's not the Renfield.
Oh, yeah. Renfield is played by the guy that played the Beast in the like X-Men First Class.
Oh, okay.
That actor, British actor.
Oh. Okay. Yeah, I might have to watch this movie. I literally it popped up on one of the apps I have, and I was like, Renfield. I did. And I was like, is that Nick Cage? And I did because I saw it's the guy. I was like, that's Nick Cage? Okay.
Okay, real fast on the Nick Cage thing, and then we also just recently watched. This is in the last few months. The one where he plays himself with Pedro Pascal.
Oh God.
Have you not seen that? Have you heard about that one?
I think I vaguely heard about that.
Where he's like playing himself in a movie where he's...
Oh my God, is he the child? Because I mean, obviously if Pedro Pascal is in it, he has to be like a babysitter first. So he's Nick Cage's babysitter? Is that the...
Yeah. No. Pedro Pascal plays like some drug lord that wants him to come to his birthday party. So he pays him like $5 or $10 million.
So he can pay off some of his tax bill. Anyway,
I was going to say because he's running low on money, and his accountant tells him so. And then he goes, but gets intercepted by like the DEA or CIA, and say, "Hey, you're going to be the closest anybody's come to this drug lord. We need you to help us either apprehend him or assassinate him."
Oh my Lord!
And then Pedro Pascal, of course, plays the sweetheart of a guy, and they end up like having a bromance. So.
Okay, that sounds awesome.
It was very meta, I think, on a lot of...
Go ahead, spoil it. And then Nick Cage kills him. No.
Yeah, and then, no. So just, look, I know he's made some stinkies.
Hey, no, yeah. That's fine.
But these two, I highly recommend those two. Okay, so Nick Cage, side tangent. Side tangent? Hey. That's
side tangent. Maybe I should just start... Maybe I should start dropping in like I need a soundboard that I can drop things in when I'm editing. Ooh, this sound effect, and I cannot begin to stress how much I'm not going to do that.
I was gonna say no need.
Although hold on, I will say, in case this does happen, and no one will be surprised with this, except I kind of was thinking about doing it as a surprise at some point. You know that when you did your My name is Javier Gonzalez. I for some reason, I was checking out the YouTube channel. We have a YouTube channel, Hav and Charles Talk Comics. Almost every episode is up on YouTube. If you'd like to like and subscribe, comment, etc., do the YouTube stuff. I played one of them, and it just happened to be that opener with that. And I was like, oh, wait, I need to cut that. And then I need to start dropping that in randomly when Hav is talking right before him. My name is Javier, and then have you say something. I'm like, I'll just start dropping that in it. I was thinking I'll do that at least one time just to see if Hav notices it when he's listening. Hey, wait, when did I? Huh? Why did I say that in the middle of? I don't remember saying that.
It's like you did. Are you okay? How did you not remember that?
It was just really weird.
Oh, that'd be funny. The difference in the movie. There's that part. Yeah, the wife. They're separated, so she's gone and taken another job, like with the state. So she's just in town in the movie to like inspect something or doing a monthly thing. But she's trying to get out of town before the sun sets, and they shut down the town. Then she's in a little car accident because it's really snowy and can't get out of town. So then she's stuck in town.
Oh, okay.
With their ex. Yes. You know the lead guy, the deputy, the sheriff in the movie is played by Josh Hartnett. The wife is played by Melissa George. You'd recognize her from stuff if you don't know her by name.
I've never seen stuff. Who else is in it?
And Ben Foster plays the wandering familiar Renfield. I know. I got your joke. I've never seen Stuff, the movie. I just, you know what? I was going to say you're better than that.
I think we've proven, both of us,
Yeah.
that no, we're not.
Neither of us are better
Yes,
than that joke. That joke is...
This is our 15th episode of season 3.
I was going to say, I don't think
So
we said
there
that,
are
but yes.
at least 45 of these podcasts.
Yeah.
There's more than that, I think. I have to do a count because there's some bonus, et cetera, et cetera. So no, we are not better than that.
Melissa George is in it. Danny Houston plays the lead vampire in the movie, and you'd recognize him. He does a really good job of playing a creepy, humanoid but not human monster, vampire monster. Because they wear clothes, but that's about all they have in common with humans, even in the movie. They are just monsters. I mean, not your grandfather's slick, debonair, well-spoken vampire.
Real vampires.
Yeah, just gory.
Animal-
Also go ahead.
Just animalistic monsters.
Yes. In the other two, one of the other, obviously in the comic they couldn't do this really, but I don't know if you noticed the highly stylized and different font they used for when the vampires speak as opposed to the humans. That was almost difficult to read at times.
No, I didn't notice that, no.
Okay. In the movie, they subtitle the vampires are speaking some ancient language.
Oh, okay. So the language of the vampires. Yeah.
Yeah. Which I thought was interesting.
It is interesting.
Anyway, so enough about the movie, I guess. I liked the movie. It was okay. I think it didn't do as well, maybe, because it didn't spawn a franchise or anything that I know of. But yeah, so back to the comic. I think at the end also when he turns, in the fight he's talking to them and he says something to the effect that this is miserable. You're constantly in pain and hunger.
Oh yeah, all it is hunger, and that's why clearly this whole thing took the 30 days, because at the end of it, they are waiting for the sun to come back up, the sheriff and his wife, and she's like, are you sure you can fight this? And that's when he's talking about this. It's endless hunger. I don't want this. I just want this one last moment with you. It was a very sweet ending, and then the sun comes up and poof.
So that's part of this world's lore.
Yes. Well, that's good.
Or true.
Yeah, that's good.
And that's how the movie ends, by the way.
Sweet.
Well done.
Well, it needs to end that way. I'm glad the movie didn't screw up what was an excellent ending.
Yeah,
it really was just a wonderful ending.
And you're right. For being 3 issues in such a tight, concise, but well done, there's a lot. I mean, they create a new world. You get a general idea of the rules of the world. You get introduced to the New Orleans hunters, or whatever they are, trying to expose the vampires. Obviously, his wife Stella. It's Eben is the sheriff, and Stella's his wife. Stella's pissed at the end, and you can't help but think she's not going to drop this. I think, and yeah, so there's other stuff to go explore and to go look into. Yeah, really well. I remember being really. It was on reread. I enjoyed it, I thought it was longer. I thought it was like at least 4 issues, if not 6. I was like, wow, okay, awesome.
Well, think about how often you and I say, "Geez, that needed to be shorter or really longer." It seems to be really hard. Let me rephrase that. It seems to be easier in an indie comic for them to get the length right.
Yeah. You're right, I think.
Marvel and DC tend to think more is better. They always want to add those extra because they're more out of the... I mean, obviously, it's always a money grab, but they know that the longer the thing is, then it's easier to sell, get people hooked and keep them going for a little bit, and then it's easier to sell the graphic novel that's a bigger graphic novel, I would assume, just from a marketing standpoint. But
they charge more for it.
Yeah, exactly. But when these writers go off on their own, writers and artists get together, they really do a good job of just, this is what we want to do, this is how many issues it needs to be, and Bob's your uncle, here it is. And then it just, you don't have that extra. Cosmic Odyssey, was that the one that...
Super long, 3 issues each. I mean, 3 issues. It was 3 issues, but they were they were super long.
No, it's not Cosmic. What was the one it was the end of last season when we did Marvels, and It was the one where they had all of the Avengers from different time periods.
Oh, Avengers Forever?
Avengers Forever. I cannot get that one? So it had all this extra that it's just like, wow, that was just too much. And then it was then a big fight. It's just like,
yeah. Well, shoot, what we read last time with the Sentry.
Oh yeah.
Where those first, I mean, they could have done that. They could have bookended it with one issue to start it out.
Yeah.
Done all the crossovers with all the teams.
I think
the individuals.
2 issues. I think 2 issues might have been okay of the Sentry.
And then one issue at the end to wrap it all up, and it would have been perfect.
It really would have been.
And then to compare and contrast a little more with Indie, like Image, is what I'm going to on this one. This was not it. I'll talk about that. But We 3.
Yes.
With 3 issues. Boom.
Yes.
In and out.
Yes.
Darn near a perfect comic.
Yes.
For what it was trying to accomplish.
It was an incredibly good comic. God, I love that comic.
Oh, and of note, I think also, not Image, this comic, not one of the big 2. This was done by ID, as in David W. Publishing, which has been around for a good amount of time.
Okay.
And does, different stuff. I mean, they do a lot of licensed stuff.
Okay.
They do. I know that they've done like Star Trek licensed stuff,
Okay.
but they also do creator-owned comics like this. They do Star Trek. I think they do Rick and Morty also.
Okay.
Comics, for example.
All right.
But something I think worth of the mentioning, if you will.
All right. Well, like I said, I really enjoyed it. I did.
Good. I'm glad. I did too. Surprise, but I suggested it because I remembered it and liked it.
Yes.
I thought it was more recent, but not that much more recent. But when I saw 2002 and the movie 2007, I think I kind of moved up the comic to 2007 and the movie a few years after that.
Yeah.
So, okay, cool. Hey, and I kept on thinking we didn't mention season 3, episode 15 at the top like you usually do, but you nicely slid that in.
I don't know how important it is to say that at the beginning. This is not a professionally done podcast.
How dare you attack us.
As I've learned by reading about, and you need to do this. I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake. Anyway.
Well, hey, our podcast is already way too long because we've been doing this for almost 40-something minutes or more, I'm sure. Apparently podcasts are supposed to be like 15 minutes.
Yeah, I think the 30 minutes, I think, was what they were saying. People don't want to listen that long, which is weird because I like to listen to a longer podcast because I'm driving, I listen to them in the car, and I'm driving places and driving back and forth, and then I don't want to have to keep switching to different things. It's why I really went to books on tape, because I could just listen to a book.
I would venture to say it's safer to listen to our podcast, which is longer, so that you're not messing with your controls in your car.
I would say that too.
And taking your eyes off the road.
That's right.
To try to find, because if it's only, let's say you're driving around, 30-minute podcast.
Oh yeah.
My God, I got to change my channel, and then, hey, something bad could happen.
And I've noticed, ideally, the Apple podcast app, which is what I use, which I may have to stop using and explore some of these other ones, you can only do one next. And then it just pretty much plays whatever the fuck it wants.
I hate that.
I'm like, I want to order this stuff. I know I have this I'm subscribed to this. Maybe I don't want to listen to it. Maybe I missed it because it's a topical podcast and I missed it, and it's you want to try to run me one from 3 weeks ago and it's a news thing and I don't give a damn. I've had my fill. I want the latest news. So it needs to be. Yeah, this is Charles rants at technology. Although I'm ranting at technology not from technology is bad. It's like, why isn't technology better? I want my technology to do more things that I want it to do that is, useful.
It should be really easy to use.
Settle down.
The interface.
They are easy. Oh, okay, sorry. Just because you can't.
Yeah. I want it to be like Star Trek where all I have to do is say, computer, do this.
Okay. You know what I don't want? I don't want to talk to my devices.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? We don't have the Alexa or the other one or Jim.
Well, yeah, I certainly don't want something listening to me at all times.
Because that's what it means, right?
Oh,
it is going to be listening to you.
Oh, the double speak they get when they say, oh, no, it's listening for its name. So it's listening all the time. Oh, no, it's listening for its name.
How does it do that? Here, let me walk you through this real fast. So how does it listen for its name?
Yes, it's listening all the time. Oh, yes, but we're not recording all the time.
Sure. Okay.
I mean, I believe, honest to God, I do believe that they're not all the time recording everybody. However,
But
that means they have the ability to always record everything at all times.
look, there's been too many instances where I'm probably borderline paranoid, where I swear to freaking God, me and Julie have been talking. I don't have Siri turned on my iPhone. We don't have Alexa or anything like that. People have given us gifts and they're just on my desk, not plugged in.
You don't
And
have
we've
to plug
talked
them
about
in.
something. What?
You don't have to plug them in. No, I'm just kidding.
Exactly. No, we're just talking about, hey, it'd be cool to go to Vancouver. And then I shit you not, I'm getting ads on my feed for Vancouver. I'm like, I didn't Google it. I swear to God I didn't Google it. I didn't put it in my phone. How did that happen?
Yeah, that's weird.
Anyways. Okay. So look, 30 Days a Night, I think we've talked enough about
Yes.
it. I think we're ready to move it along.
Okay.
Any housekeeping before we jump into our next comic book of the day?
HavenCharles.com. HavenCharles.com. HavenCharles.com is where you can go to send us emails.
Yeah. It's real easy.
Yes.
And then you can, I think we have our Twitter / whatever they're calling it
all
now,
that-
which
all
by
that
the way, I'm about
crap
to
is
shut
up.
down.
If I could get a Blue Sky invite, I'd be over there. But no
I
one else
might-
is on there yet. So
I might be announcing that you can find me on the website and maybe Hive, or I'll go to Instagram, although that's Facebook. I don't know if it's any better. I can't help but think it can't be any worse.
I hate Facebook now.
Yeah, Facebook. But Instagram, have you ever done?
No, but I'm not a pretty girl.
No, but a lot of people just, I don't know. It's just so fresh, because Twitter was good there for a second.
Oh God, I liked Twitter.
And then Elon Musk had to buy the toy and break it so nobody could play with it.
Yes. God save us from not funny people who think they're funny.
Oh God. And you know he thinks he is hilarious.
He does. And he wants everybody to think that. And he's not. He's just not funny. He's not even funny. Laugh at, not laugh with.
Okay, then I did hear something. Is this true that he's autistic, on the spectrum?
He says he is. I don't give a fuck. Well, no. Let me explain this.
Yeah.
Some people like him try to use that as a defense about the fact that they're an asshole. That's what he's trying to say. Oh, no, you can't blame me that I seem to be this fucking monster. I'm on the spectrum. The vast majority of people on the spectrum are wonderful people. So fuck you. Don't try to use something like that to excuse you from being a bad person. No.
Good point.
Yeah. Sorry. I don't. That makes the implication of this is why I do bad things. That's not why you do bad things. You choose to do bad things. So
correct. All right. Well, we've already spent too much breath on that dude.
Yeah. So we did read another comic. It was suggested by
Wait, we
me.
did?
Shut
What?
up. Overdoing a bit.
You know me, man. Once I get something that I think is funny in my head,
No,
I will kill that horse.
Dude, we both do that bit over and over. Both of us.
But I will beat that freaking dead horse.
I know you will.
Oh my gosh.
I know you will.
Poor Julie.
Yeah.
I think something's
yeah,
funny.
you should not beat your wife, dude.
There you go. Now, see? That's yeah. Now you made it weird. Hey, just so I do not, oh my God. I'm going to say, you're going to do the cold open on this. Just for the record, I do not.
I won't do the cold open on this.
I do not do anything like that.
I know. I will not. This one I'm not. No, that is unfair. No, I am going to do the cold open of "Don't Beat Your Wife."
There you go. Hey everybody, Hot Sports Opinion here. I don't think people should beat their wives.
Unless this is a consensual thing that the two of y'all are into with a safe word that you respect. Again, I don't judge. I'm sure sometimes Hav has trouble sitting down based on some of the things he's told me in private.
Ethel, stop. Ethel.
Is that your safe word?
Shut up. God damn it. Ethel's about to pull the plug on everything. Hey, stop. Thank you. She was under the... Oh, my God. Okay, sorry. God, that was too... Okay. Oh... Hey, I know how to pod. I'm a pod person. Yay! Okay. So, the comic book that Charles suggested was Wonder Twins, correct?
That is correct, yes. I suggest it's by Mark Russell, who we have read a couple other things, but he did the Flintstones and Snagglepuss. He is a writer. I love his comic books, and I suggested this unread. I had obviously borrowed it at one point because it's like, would you like to go back to where you left off? When I was like, yeah, where did I leave off? It was like on the first page. I'd gone through like the title stuff, and it was on the first page. So I hadn't read it, and I will say, as a kid, I did not care for the Wonder Twins.
Oh yeah, no.
I thought that I was like, I want the other superheroes, and all they turned into an animal and water. And that was immediately a joke in this. It was like, well, they're changelings. Oh, that'll be really helpful. Well, no, one of them just turns to water. What? Well, the other one can be an animal. Oh, okay, that's good, but one's just water.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm like, okay.
I really liked it. What did you think?
I did too. And speaking of time, we did have a quick turnaround. I really meant to read the next volume.
I stopped because I don't want to get, because it didn't cliffhang. It wrapped that up, but it kind of has a, ooh, hey DC, we want you to keep going, which they were very pleased that they got more, because they didn't know they did a 6-issue run, and they didn't know they were going to get any more, but they did leave it open, and I'm going to read the next 6.
Oh yeah, no, I immediately borrowed it, and I just, I think I pounded through both of these last weekend, like Sunday afternoon, evening, and then was like, I was like, I'm done for a second, and then I was like, I'll read it sometime during the week, and of course, just didn't happen. So
they're aliens.
They're new to the planet.
They're in a school. They got basically thrown off their planet, which we did not get in. They're weird even for their planet.
Or something?
Yeah, I don't...
Are they exiled, or did there something bad happen to their planet?
I don't know. No, they seem to be exiled.
Okay.
For some reason. That's beside the point. Their planet is evidently almost a utopia, except during, oh God, one of the first scenes.
Or not, what is
Thunderlust.
it? Thunderlust, thank you.
So, and the boy... Zan is giving a introductory speech or some sort of lesson about his planet, and he's talking about it, and it's this utopia, and it's this, and he's this, and there's peace, and no one ever does anything, and then when a thunderstorm happens, that's when Thunderlust takes over, and the wanton sex, and the teacher's like, okay, but nope, stop, we're done.
And they make it seem that it seems that it just turns into one big
one giant orgy. Well, it does, because later he's out exercising at gym class when a thunderstorm starts.
And he's like, oh no, it's a Thunderlust, and then that's his nickname.
Thunderlust, and that's now his nickname. And he is the most awkward, happy. I really like him, and I really like her. I do. The twins are just written so well. And yes, they are opposites of each other.
And she's
shy.
Visually, Jaina and Zan and Jaina. Almost the look too. I wonder if they did on purpose, because she with the glasses is very much a Velma looking character to me.
Okay.
And I should
have
mentioned the art. So and I know I use this word a lot. The great Mark Russell, who did, like you said, the Flintstones, highly satirical, highly well done comic, and then the Snagglepuss, which was just heart-wrenching and well done. He did this one, and then the art is by Stephen Byrne, who I don't know, but very well done, and reminded me kind of Kevin Maguire, in case anybody likes Justice League International.
Well, he possibly was going for something like that, since the Justice League is in this, because this is what we grew up with.
And both trying to be comedic.
No, this is funny. So,
how dare you attack me in Justice League International?
So they took what we grew up with, the Justice League, the Super Friends, and they put it. They are interning at the Justice League,
the Hall of Justice.
At the Hall of Justice. So the original Hall of Justice from the Super Friends, and they even have the supercomputer, which does nothing now since everybody is on the internet. And I love that they're with the supercomputer. He gets a monkey.
Gleek.
Yes.
from the Super Friends.
He gets a monkey.
A pet monkey.
Yeah.
A blue pet monkey, by the way, that nobody seems to think anything of.
Well,
I'm like,
it's at the
how
DC
many monkeys
universe.
are blue?
Hey, I didn't notice he was blue.
Oh, gosh darn it.
How dare you attack me?
I always forget.
Well, it's not something that you're gonna. It amuses me when you start talking about the color of something, and I'm like, did not even notice that. That's interesting. I'm sure if I look at it, I'll go, yeah, that's blue. But I don't, and it's also a comic book though, so I don't really. I'm like, comic books,
Yeah.
somebody wants a blue monkey.
You. I wonder what you, my friend Andrew, work friend Phil. I know there's 3 or 4 more that I know that
a high percentage of men are colorblind.
I did not
I mean,
realize
like a significant percentage.
Yeah, and speaking of that, now that you say that, I don't think I know any women
It's very rare.
that are colorblind. Okay, so going back to this real fast, yes, they took Super Friends 70s to early 80s, I want to say, Super Friends,
Yes.
and just took the 2 from the comics. Oh, and then, I don't know if you noticed early on in the comic, walking down the hallway, El Dorado. Only from the Super Friends. I think created for the Super Friends was a Mexican Super Friend.
Okay.
With the bare chested with a red cape. I remember him. I never saw a Black Vulcan. For some reason, they couldn't use Black Lightning for the Super Friends. They created Black Vulcan. I don't know if you remember that character from Super Friends.
I don't.
And then the one Apache Chief that would grow big.
I do remember the Apache Chief. Now, the only Super Friend they're the only ones, I swear, when I was watching, the only thing that was ever in it were the Wonder Twins.
They use them a lot.
Yeah, it was just like, I want the superheroes, and I'm getting the Wonder Twins. And I guess the theory was, well, they're kids, so the kids will like it. I'm like, I want superheroes.
Right. So in this comic, though, I do like that they're at the Hall of Justice, they're interning, and the big 3 are right away there. It's Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman. When you were talking about introducing them, Superman's kind of introducing them to Batman, or talking about them to Batman and Wonder Woman. Mm-hmm. And that's when you're like, oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it was the whole thing was when he says Superman says, she can only change into animals, and he morphs into water. And Wonder Woman replies back, that's underwhelming. I am underwhelmed.
Yeah.
Oh, and I loved when they were talking about, well, you're going to be like on dispatch duty when they first come in. And I screenshot a picture of, they're like, well, what's that? Well, it's to make sure we kind of match the crime with the superhero and make sure we don't all turn out at the same time. And there's the scene of somebody coming out of a robbing something, and it's Hawkman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, Batman, Superman, and Flash all standing outside, and the thief is like, oh, come on, really?
Yeah. And then Black Light, I just remember this, Black Lightning's like fighting some water monster.
Oh, yes.
And he's like, you guys know my powers are electricity based, right?
Exactly. I forgot about that one. I didn't screenshot that one. It was great. Yeah, we you need to know who to send where. So yeah, they basically got them working on dispatch.
But I think even before that, maybe or maybe not, Mitsoplik is back.
Yes.
From the 4th dimension.
Yes.
And the whole thing about him is you got to get him to say his name backwards. And then, so Superman's devising this contraption that may or may not work. And then Jana, like, gets him to say his name and then just plays it backwards on the computer, and he's gone.
Yes.
He's like, wait, whoa, does it work that way?
That was awesome. I thought that, I was like, wait, I don't think that's the way. I think he has to say it backwards. I thought, and then it's like, nope.
But he did say it backwards?
Yeah, he did say it backwards.
Replay?
Yeah, it was on replay. That was hilarious. Or he decided to let the kids win just to F with the rest of the, because Mixoflix he's a 5th dimensional imp.
Yes.
And that was a very impish thing to do. Yeah, the Utes banished me and you didn't. The first time they did Wonder Twin powers activate. And Jana goes, wow, that sounds terrible when you say it out loud.
Oh, and then after the Thunderlust thing, I was kind of flipping through it.
Thunderlust.
He's in the cafeteria, And Jan is telling Wonder Woman, and then Wonder Woman tells Superman, and Superman's, hey, you know what? It's okay, pal.
God, every single one of the male.
And then Batman wanders in, and he's like, what's going on here? And Zan became a man today. It's like, oh, this is not happening.
Yes.
Let me die.
But the stories they each tell him were the sweetest, most awesome, and I don't remember any of them, but they were
Bruce tells him a story about he had a crush on a girl, but it's a poetry thing that the teacher thinks it's
his poem.
Just for the assignment, so he's got to read it out loud in front of the whole class.
No, the teacher reads it out loud. He left it on his desk.
There you go.
Yeah, no, he never read it. He got like, nope, that's not the one. And it was to the tune of some song.
And then Superman thinks he's suave in high school and like leans on the bathroom girl's door and falls in when he's trying to say, hey, ladies. Of course, Wonder Woman doesn't say it. I don't think Wonder Woman says anything.
Well, Wonder Woman doesn't have that kind of awkward story. She's Wonder Woman. I mean...
Yeah, come on. Come on, buddy.
The Princess of Themyscira.
God, thank you. I always get that wrong.
I'm working on it. I'm trying to figure out how to say it.
I'm just glad I think I got Mixoplick down.
You nailed see, I can't. No, Mixoplick. Yeah. Mr. Mixoplick.
Oh, okay. So, look, we don't have to go blow, 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 but it is... So there's the... Oh, my God.
The League of Annoyance.
Lex Luthor's... Yes, the League of Annoyance.
The League of Annoyance. And in the League of Annoyance, there is
take a screenshot?
The Scrambler, Praying Mantis, the Malingerer. He's got a red cross on his chest and he's wearing a neck brace. Amphetamine.
And she looks her eyes are all bulgy.
Yes, and Cell Phone Sylvia.
Why didn't they just say Karen?
Because Cell Phone Sylvia is hilarious.
Okay.
That's why.
Okay.
I mean, it's
and then the Scrambler just recently got out. The Scrambler actually has some pretty decent powers, by the way.
Oh yeah, the Scrambler can switch minds with everybody, and he's going to turn into the big bad in this. Jana has a best friend, meets a friend because they didn't know anybody. She gets a friend who is a super genius.
Yes, whose dad is a super genius. Whose dad is a super genius.
Nobel Prize winning super genius who won the Nobel Prize. I said Nobel Prize twice. Anyway.
Yeah, you did. You said the Nobel Prize. I won the Nobel Prize.
And he won the Nobel Prize. So maybe he
allow myself to introduce myself.
Yes. So he works for Lex, and Lex kind of owns him because that's how Lex Luthor works. Because he borrowed money, and even though he wants to quit, he has to now go work for the League of Annoyance. And you have all this shenanigans. Mark Russell, being Mark Russell, uses all of what's going on to stick a pin in to point out the problems in American life, because he's doing the prison system, and he's doing rehabilitation. That's this whole arc is the rehabilitation system and how it doesn't work, and prison labor, and stopping people from doing crimes and then just warehousing them until they can come out and do more crimes.
Very much. That is very much part of this. And then the other thing I would say, did you talk about Druncula real fast? Did you mention Druncula?
Well, no, I didn't, because that wasn't part of the thing. Yeah, Druncula is a vampire, but drunk people are easy prey, so he gets drunk, so he has an alcohol problem.
Yes, it's so weird. Okay, so besides that, I just want to mention he's also part of the League of Annoyance, because he comes into play later a little bit. Besides the prison system, which was absolutely correct observation or truism that Mark Russell points out, because a for-profit freaking prison system where they put them to work as telemarketers is obscene, so that other companies can make money off their slave labor. Literal slave labor.
Yeah, it is literal slave labor. It's in the Constitution.
And then on top of that, though, there's also at the end of this arc, a not subtle talk about
that we can fix society if we choose to.
We can fix society if we choose to. Also, why do the 1% or whatever percentage have so much power and the rules don't apply to them but apply to everybody else?
Yes.
And when you threaten those 1% with, because let me jump ahead a little bit.
Go ahead.
The Scrambler has devised a way to universally scramble. He does 1 million people first, where people are just randomly changed from body to body.
Yep. And you don't know where you're going to do.
If you don't fix the system so that everybody's got a fair shake, I'm going to do it to everybody.
Yes.
And it freaks the fuck out of everybody, but especially the quote-unquote elites.
They're losing their goddamn mind.
The CEOs, Lex Luthor. Lex Luthor
is going to space. Lex Luthor is going to space.
Yeah, because it's only going to be on the planet.
Yeah.
but not every elite has a spaceship or whatever. Right, independently, the billionaire, super billionaire. I just thought that was a great, and they're going to pass laws. They're so afraid of having to end up.
Well, that's the thing.
It gets the job. It's about to get the job done.
They were going to succeed because they say either fix this or at the end of 30 days everything's going to happen. So on the 30th day they're preparing to sign papers to make sure that when they switch everybody is fine, so everything won't be bad for them. And what would have turned out if they'd have signed the papers is they wouldn't have switched, because those things would be law now, and then everybody would have a chance, a fair shake. And instead, because Jana figured it out, her friend, that the scrambler was at her friend's house, but didn't tell anybody. She became very conflicted about what was going on, and it was because of Druncula, because they captured Druncula doing something. Yeah. And then they took him to a holding cell, a Lex correctional facility holding cell for his thing, and they didn't have a holding cell to put him in, so they put him in the fucking drunk tank. So he murdered everybody in the drunk tank. So it was just this horrible...
he was telling everybody he had been like 30 days.
Yeah, he's so proud of his sobriety, and he's been very careful, and he's gonna... And I mean, it was just... The buildup on that was just brilliant. So she is conflicted because she realizes... Because she sees him signing all the bills, and the U.S. is pressuring all these other countries to fix their problems too, because we wield a big stick, and they're all terrified. Russia's terrified of being one of their poor people, or all of this is going on, and she realizes, hey, no one will switch as long as they sign all these bills, and they're correct. But somehow, I think her brother figures it out and rats him out.
Yeah,
and they get him
through the sewer systems, and then you see
because he realizes
Batman.
Yes, he can do, and then Superman, Batman, they capture them, and so they don't sign all the bills because they've captured the Scrambler. But one of the things her friend, who's a super genius, has set up is the Scrambler can still activate it through email. It's all set up to activate through email because they've put his power through the web because because it's everywhere. And the thing they say, well, you get a phone call, and he says, I'd like to send an email instead. That was the very last page. That's why both Hav and I are like, we want to read the next volume because we want to see what happens next. So it is really just an amazing to take. And Lord knows he did it with the damn Flintstones, and he did it with the frickin' Snagglepuss. So, I mean, I don't know what I expect. And
were you surprised?
I'm not, honestly, though, I'm not putting it on the same level as the Flintstones and the...
I was going to get there.
And Snagglepuss, but those are... But what he did, though, with the two lowest level DC made-up characters for a cartoon TV show in the 70s was fucking brilliant.
And then still keeping with the comic book stuff too, like having Polymath. I think her last name's Math, and so her father's Dr. Math, I guess.
Yeah, named her Polymath.
And then her dad's, I guess, a doctor. I would guess. Yeah, he's a PhD, Dr. Math. But then having her, be so frustrated with everything that she's going to kind of turn. And Scrambler has a nice little diatribe about this, where there's no good or evil. It's people with power, people without power, and
well. That's you have one of these great statements from a character, Mark Russell statements from a character.
Yeah.
Jana is talking to Polly and says, I know, but life's pretty, I know, but life puts people in pretty desperate spots sometimes. I mean, some people are born to be heroes or villains, but most of us just end up wherever life dumps us. So in a lot of ways, Jana sets the stage for Polly to work with the Scrambler in the way she does. Because Jana has been looking at as an alien who came from a fairly utopian society where everybody is taken care of, and looks at what we do here and goes, wow, this is bad, everything we do. She even had deep talks with Superman. Well, how do you do it? Look at all this awful. He's like, well, you just try to do as much good as you can, and you do the things you can, and you try not to dwell on the bad things. And he's right. That's what we tend to do. We look at, okay, what good we can, but there's so much bad out there that we can't do a damn thing about, and a lot of it has to do with the fact that there is a group of incredibly wealthy people that don't want it any other way.
Yeah. Well, look, yeah, I'll get into it a little bit. The income disparity between American CEOs and their average worker has increased astronomically
Yes.
in the last 50 years. Ridiculously so.
Yes.
And you cannot tell me that these men and women that lead these Fortune 500 companies, for example, are that instrumental in the overall. Yes, they make some big decisions.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
And they should get compensated, but it is obscene.
I don't have a problem with the money they're getting paid. I have a problem with the money everyone else is getting paid. I have a reason on this. The corporations they lead make a obscene amount of money, so they should be paid a decent. If you are producing this much, they should be paid for that. However, it only goes to the top of it. They don't share it with the rest of the people that work there. That the money that should be going to, and maybe they have to take less to do that to make sure the shares stay as high or whatever. That's fine. Then they can take less. But I'm saying the amount I don't have a problem with what anybody necessarily makes. I have a problem how little other people make.
Right, and then it gets into, well, because they're trying to make sure, like you said, they're trying to make sure the stock prices stay up.
Yes.
And that's their ultimate
goal.
Well,
The biggest problem is they're trying to have the stock price always go up. Not that it stays up, always goes up more and more and more. We have a problem in American society, corporate-wise, where they're looking for exponential growth in companies. Everything we need to grow and 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 grow. Well, exponential growth leads to destruction. There is no exponential growth. We cannot grow forever. Everything is finite on the earth. We won't have enough oil to stay with oil forever. Well, we might have enough oil to keep using oil until the earth burns up like a fucking cinder, but long term we might not have enough oil. So we have to do other things, and they're talking about the other things we have to do. So wow, we got. I don't even think we're getting political, but
it's a Mark Russell comic book. To go full circle on that a little bit, when the Scramblers threatening to switch everybody's bodies, it of course made me think, yeah, there are ways to fix this. It's been well documented. I think, like learned, peer-reviewed stuff. There's plenty of food on this planet for everybody.
Oh God, yes.
There's plenty of resources. The amount of food that we as a country throw away every day is obscene and sad. It just kills me. And then energy. We have enough energy.
Yeah.
For everybody to have, and enough ability, resources to make sure everybody has adequate electricity, running freaking water, which me and you think is no big deal.
Yes.
There are still places in the United States that don't have any water.
Yeah.
There are still places that don't have good access to electricity, much less Wi-Fi. That and clean water, desalinization costs a lot of money, but it's possible.
Yes.
So, just these things where there are people that don't have access to what we consider basics.
You want to talk about learned people? So, every time a community starts talking about raising the minimum wage, you will get a huge group of mainly economists will start saying, if you raise the minimum wage, it's bad for the economy. If you raise the minimum wage, it's bad for that is what you will hear anytime somebody suggests raising the minimum wage. If you look at studies done in areas that raise the minimum wage, you know what happens? Every single time, the economy is better. Every single time. Then they do the economist thing. Oh, yes, but we're talking about if you raise it over everywhere. There are factors in this because economics is a made-up goddamn practice. It's not a fucking science, and it's just absolutely slam-packed with conservatives.
And you can play with the numbers.
Because you make up the numbers.
Right.
It's the imagine you have a can opener. I'm not gonna. Never mind. Sorry, it's an economist joke.
Especially with, I think of economists trying to project into the future, kind of like weather people.
Yes.
Yeah, they have some models based on old data.
Sure.
But that's old data, and there's new data. There's new variables.
Yeah, but you do know that the weather people do a better job because they're actually using science.
There's that too. No, you're right. I'm not arguing with you at
Yeah.
all. I know you. I know you know that. It's just it is frustrating when you hear. Yeah, you're right. Economists in large measure are more on the conservative bend. Oh, and I was going to say also. Obviously, they're not that great at their job sometimes when they can't predict Black Tuesday in the '80s or the meltdown that we had right at the end of W when Obama was taking over.
Well, that
where
was
all of a
well, you know what was ridiculous? A lot of people were predicting that. That
But
weren't
nobody-
the big, no, not the big people, but my mom and I were predicting that. We were talking about how my mom and I used to talk about how house prices couldn't keep going up like that.
Yeah.
And we think there's a problem, that this is clearly a bubble. And I mean, lots of people. I mean, the dude that made literal billions of dollars shorting the market on that.
Right. The Big Short. That was a great movie, by the way.
That was an incredibly good movie. Yes.
And I, of course, didn't read the book or anything.
Nah.
I know
you
know
can't
what?
read.
In a much more micro way, before the bubble burst, right before the bubble burst, when me and Julie were buying our home in the early to mid 2000s. Well, yeah, we moved in here in 2005. When we got, I'm not going to use numbers if you don't mind, but when we got approved for our loan, we were like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
How much? And they're like, oh, no. And if we do this, it's like, no, we're not doing an adjustable.
Yeah.
We were adamant, fixed.
Yes.
And then we said, well, I'm just curious, if we were to just buy a house based on the total amount you approved us for a home loan, what would our monthly payment be? And they told us, and we're like, so we just don't have anything after that left? I mean, essentially, we put what? Why would you approve us?
We can't afford to make that pay. We can't afford to have a life if we make that payment. Yeah.
We could barely probably afford to put food. I mean, it was like just ridiculous. Like, and I'm sure there's some people like, oh, the bank approved me for it, so I'm going to take the money and buy the house, and I'm going to do that. They said the adjustable rate mortgage is better for me because interest rates are always going to stay low. So anyways, I just remember that. And then when it all came tumbling down, I was like, yeah, that makes sense. Because I was just thinking, God forbid. I mean, how many people got approved for loans like we did, took the huge loan, knowing that it was going to eat up some crazy high percentage of their take-home pay. Anyways, okay, enough of that. So, okay.
You know what, another one? I'll give you another one. You said learned people and studies. Tested. Universal basic income works. Everywhere they've done universal basic income.
Oh, I know. Oh, yeah, I saw
quality of life improves across the board. Well, they're just going to use that they're going to waste the money. I always hate they're going to waste the money. People know how to spend money. Most people are going to spend the money on what we spend money on.
The rich people know how to spend money, like going on their little joy trips to the moon or to orbit. Because that's a good use of their money instead of that drives me crazy too. Okay, changing. Okay, something also societally relevant. Cell phone. What's her name?
Cell phone Sally.
Just before I forget, she's at the headquarters, and Dr. Math is coming back, and she gets scared. Black man zaps him with her Kryptonian phone, and kills. She thinks kills him.
I'm sorry, cell phone Sylvia. Yeah, she doesn't know what happens when her cell phone sends things away. We find out that she's sending them to the fucking Phantom Zone. I know. That's a plus, though, because I'm hoping that means they'll figure it out, and Superman will bring them back. Because if Superman knows this racist,
and then she's exonerated.
Various words that I would see, that was the thing she got. Yeah, they did.
Or
the
just
thing
like,
she was
well,
and they couldn't do anything. Why this man came out of nowhere and knocked on her door and frightened her, and she didn't know what to do. So it was a stand your ground bullshit. I mean, first off, she knew him. Second off, he had a right to be there. It was, but they can't go, well, he was going to the League of Annoyance. And oh my God. Which was I did like that the League of Annoyance was
Is that like a Toys R Us?
Web Toys. No, it was a factory that used to make the toys. Web Toys.
Oh my God.
The secret headquarters of the League of Annoyance.
Yeah. Hey, look, I said we don't have to go blow by blow, but there were so many.
It was so deep for such a shallow, shallow characters. Let me say that. He made those characters deep. He made, in the beginning, Jana was already deep, and the boy, Zan was seemingly incredibly shallow. But then you have him go on a date while she's going on a date. And she's going on a date with what turns out to be a budding supervillain called, wait for it, because it ain't subtle, Red Flag. And remember that because I fucking loved that. Going out with Red Flag, and oh boy, he was throwing up red flags all over the place. And Zan's date takes him to a movie where her ex-boyfriend, a theater where her ex-boyfriend lives, works, and he gets off, so he watches the movie with them. So then they get back together during the movie, and they're making out in the movie. And then what was awesome, and I screenshot that because they run into Red Flag, who's like, "Oh, you got friend zoned," and Zan says, "We're 17 freaking years old. We probably would have broken up in a few weeks anyway, but now we'll still like each other for years to come. Looks like another win for Zan." And I'm like, "Oh my God, that's awesome."
He was very much, yes, I think
he's not shallow. He's just optimistic.
Yes, it serves a purpose of, glass is always half full.
Yeah. He
had the thing happen, Thunderlust at school. he gets over it. He's got his pet monkey. He loves his sister.
Monkey. Oh,
he thinks he's cool.
Who he released? Who was there's a program where they take abused circus monkeys, and you see the abuse that monkey got. God. And everybody else at the theater, from the ringmaster and everybody else at the theater, or his trainer, whatever. It was terrible, poor monkey. But everybody else in the circus loved the monkey, so they stole him and sent him to the special group that rehomes circus monkeys.
Yeah.
Abused circus monkeys. And then they release him because Zan doesn't want him he doesn't know who's going to have him, so he puts him out on the street. And everything about this was just, again, I don't know, I sound surprised, which I shouldn't, because I picked this out of not reading it just because, is sweet, wonderful, and fucking so deep at times.
Yes. It's so we had read also by Mark Russell. I don't think Stephen Byrne had done the art on the other two. Mark Russell, we first read Flintstones.
Yes.
Then we read his Snagglepuss.
Yes.
And now this. Now look, Snagglepuss probably, for me, is number one, barely inching out Flintstones.
There's,
or 1A, 1B, I don't know.
They're different enough that I don't know. Yeah, I did like Flintstones and Snagglepuss better. Snagglepuss was so incredibly layered and...
more sad, I think, too.
Yeah.
It's just so heart-wrenching.
Yes. Well, that was kind of the point of it. And the wonderfulness of the Flintstones showing a family unit and how great a family can be, and why you need friends and family. And then this, it just... again, it's the fact that he did it with these characters.
Yeah.
Is incredible. Well, I mean, it's kind of like Snagglepuss. It's like those characters doing that with those characters.
So for some reason, I was YouTubing. I wanted to see how to say Jaina, I think.
Okay.
Is it Jaina? Did you just say Jaina? So I YouTubed it, and then I found that Cartoon Network apparently did some short Wonder Twins cartoons that I had never seen. And I kept on meaning to forward them to you, and I will today.
Okay.
They are hilarious.
Okay.
I think.
Okay.
They're very short.
Okay.
Okay. So there's that. But no, the fact that he did, right, like you said, these characters, again, putting up a mirror to what's going on, prison system, income inequality, people with power without power.
Yes.
Through their eyes, through alien, outsiders come in and say, and Jaina saying, what? Y'all just put them all in a prison and
you just lock them
make
up.
them work?
Yeah.
What? And you think that's going to fix anything? Yeah, just like, yeah. Like, if you were an alien that came to this planet and saw what we're doing, you'd be saying these things. Oh, okay. Sorry, it was so good. Any more about the old Wonder Twins?
No, I think I'm probably going to read the next volume today.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to pull it up and just go ahead and read it. So
Cool.
That is what I'm going to do. So, do you want to tell us what we're going to read next time?
I had not looked at the calendar and thought about the delay in releases, that the fact that 30 Days of Night is coming out when it is, right before Halloween. I'm still planning to do it. I was going to do another kind of horror Halloween-ish comic.
Okay.
I do kind of want your input. I'm leaning one way. There were two that I was thinking of. One was, and I think you're going to be as much conflicted about this as I am. One by Alan Moore, From Hell.
Okay.
The other by Grant Morrison, Proctor Valley Road.
I don't know
One
Proctor
is
Valley Road. I've read From Hell. That's the
Jack the Ripper.
Jack the Ripper. That's really good.
Yeah, but I you know what? And I have not read Proctor Valley Road. I've not done that yet.
Okay.
It's it's by the great. I'm going to suggest Proctor Valley Road.
Okay.
Because we both read From Hell.
Okay.
So that is my suggestion. It's on the Hoopla.
Okay. Who
Hey,
wrote it?
Hoopla. What is Hoopla?
Did you say it was Frank Miller?
No, Grant Morrison.
Grant Morrison wrote.
Proctor Valley Road.
Okay. Frank
Alan
Miller
Moore.
wrote for Alan Moore wrote. Okay, okay, I was looking at some Frank Miller stuff. That's why I was like, wait, why did Frank Miller come up? I was thinking about. Okay, never mind.
Yeah. So Proctor Valley Road. It's
Okay.
also Halloween, but it's going to come out a couple weeks after Halloween. Sorry, folks, but deal with it.
How dare you? Okay, so that'll work. Proctor Valley Road, and I like Grant Morrison. They are awesome. The suggestion I'm going to make is Spider-Man Noir.
Cool.
Yeah, I like that. I've read it before. I was kind of scrambling for what I was going to read, and I legitimately thought about suggesting Spider-Verse, and then I looked at how long the Spider-Verse one was. I mean, it is 600 and something pages, the Spider-Verse.
Like the whole.
Yeah, well, that's the only
everything.
thing that was on. That was what was on Hoopla, was this. Just, it literally has everything, which, by the way, if you're going to read it, you might as well, that's what you might as well read. So,
And is Spider-Man Noir part of Spider-Verse?
Spider-Man Noir is in Spider-Verse. This is, I will send you a screenshot. It's on Marvel Unlimited. Okay. And I'll send you the first one, a screenshot of the first one so you can look it up. It's not.
Yeah, it's not collected.
It's not collected. Yeah. And it's a short little thing, but it's
sure.
It's noir stuff. It's Spider-Man from 1930 something.
Yeah. No, I've seen snippets or covers, and do me a favor also, if you don't mind. Sure. I know we could do this off the pod. Will you send me whatever from Hoopla for the Spider-Verse?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, just so I have it, because I might just start doing
okay.
that on this side.
Yeah, we can talk about this as soon as we finish up. As a matter of fact,
yeah.
I want to talk to you about that. So yeah, thank you everyone for tuning in. We had a great time with this. I highly recommend, if you're into horror, the 30 Days of Night, and let me just be blunt, I recommend you read anything by Mark Russell. Flintstones, Snagglepuss, Wonder Twins, something else I'll be suggesting next season that's a little different, but if it says Mark Russell on it, take a shot. It's probably good. So thank you very much for being part of this one. I look forward to talking to y'all again on our penultimate episode in 2 weeks.
Bye.
Bye.